This is my model for how to integrate sustainability into a business. Some people draw these things and have a non-compliant area, but my view is if you're not compliant with legislation, you shouldn't be sat here, you should be trying to get compliant with legislation. But we start off with compliance. And this is the point I was talking to when we're at the carrots and sticks, which is if you are simply moving ahead as legislation pushes you, it's very expensive because you have to act again and again and again and again and again. It's much better to move ahead of compliance and make sure that things like the carbon reduction commitment will never be a big problem to you because you're leading the way. Most organisations move past compliance to what I call lip service. And at this point, they've done a couple of projects. There's a couple of things going on, but they get wheeled out again and again and again. So every company brochure, every organisational brochure has the same example of some little project that somebody's done sometime. It's never been repeated. It's unlikely to be repeated, but somebody thinks, well, we'll just put that out. And that's a form of greenwash because you're trying to pretend you're green when you're not really. The middle stage is actually a very effective one. It's one I call bundle of projects. And that tends to be enthusiast driven. So a group of people in an organisation say, we've really got to start doing something about this. So they might form a committee and come up with a whole raft of projects that they then try and implement. But there's no overall strategy, and every time they want to move forward in one, they have to go cap in hand looking for money. And that's a big problem because, as we have seen, if you do project costs purely on direct return from cost savings, you may be missing out on all those benefits from new business and better branding and all those things. So it's quite difficult. And there's limited staff buy-in. Generally, if you're outside this inner circle of people who are very enthusiastic, you don't tend to know an awful lot about what's going on. I'm not knocking that because an awful lot of organisations start off with that. But what you will find is that table of enthusiasts can be very frustrated because they can't see the progress. They don't think senior management are really taking them seriously, really appreciating all their efforts. Other people might see them as happy clappy tree huggers and sort of treat them with gentle disdain or something like that. But it's an interesting position to be in. A lot of organisations have moved on to this stage, which is a formal management system. And we have things like ISO 14001, environmental management system, or as one cynic called it, a way of destroying the environment in a well-documented manner. And the big benefit here is you've got responsibilities, you've got some resources, you've got starting to get short-term targets. But all of it tends to still be in a green silo. And because environmental management systems do have this massive amount of documentation that has to be produced constantly, it can make it a lot less exciting. The top stage where the really cutting edge businesses are is where organisations have decided this is a core thrust of their business. This is how they're positioning themselves in the market as a clean green company. And traditionally this has been Body Shop and organisations like that. Marks and Spencer's have now taken a big lead with Plan A. I'm surprised there was less recognition of it, but next time you're in MS, go and have a look around the adverts. You know, it's not just green as an add-on. I went in the other day and bought a recycled polyester umbrella, which is absolutely brilliant. They're pushing green right through their product stream and down into their supply chain as well. It's very exciting stuff. I wish I had more time to talk about it. But here, the clear commitments and leadership. Sir Stuart Rose was at the time Chief Executive and Chairman of Marks and Spencer's. He claims that he watched An Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore, came back and said, right, we're going to clean up. Another organisation that's less well known is called Interface Floor. They describe themselves as the world's leading manufacturer of modular flooring. To you and me, that means carpet tiles. But there's a 40% chance that I'm stood on their carpet tiles now. They really are the biggest player. Their leader said they're going to have a zero ecological footprint by 2020, which is a huge commitment, absolutely huge. And they kill off product lines if they don't think they're going to progress towards that. I think they told me, I think it was 30 different product lines they've had, and they've said, we're not going to make or sell this product anymore because it's not going to help us towards that 2020 target for whatever reason. So this is really hardcore thinking, this end. All systems and strategy are aligned to that goal. So green is no longer an add-on. It's really part of the core business. And at the bottom, total buy-in. And that's not just from all staff, it's from suppliers, it's from everybody else. And you'll start to see organizations like Walmart are starting to shed suppliers on their environmental and CSR performance alone, which is another stick in going back to drivers and carrots and sticks, is if you're not seen to be green, will your clients want to be associated?